all good times starts and end without $1 to spend. But how much, baby, do we really need? Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Cheer up, Sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Oh, the camera's on. Camera's been on the whole time. Hello. So, is something supposed to happen here? Where's the captain at? Well, it looks like we're doing one of these again. And it's my turn. Again.
You once thought of me as a white knight on his steed. Now you know how happy I can be. Oh, and our good time starts and ends without $1 to spend. But how much, baby, do we really need? Cheer up, Sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, Sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?
In the interest of fairness, there's a strong discussion to be had about maybe it being time indie developers started pushing their marketing to the handheld PC market. Sometimes when a game is just simple and solid enough and it has controller support, you do yourself a disservice by targeting the broader PC market. Sometimes it's just because it's on Steam doesn't mean it's best served played on a 4K monitor with high performance keyboard and mouse setup, and targeting specific smaller markets may seem more direct success. And I say that because for the first half of Golf vs. Zombies, formerly Necro Golf, it looked like that area of discussion is where this game would find itself. Unfortunately, it took a dark turn by the halfway point and really starts to show issues not just with design philosophy, but its overall execution. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Golf vs. Zombies, developed by Sleepwalking Potatoes and published by Hyperstrange, crashed onto Steam September 15th of 2023, telling the tale of one man's struggle to avoid his family and the zombies who wanted to give him a big ol' smooch. The Kellogg's brand has decided that just being the most expensive cereal in the aisle wasn't good enough and need total brand domination. So they invented green cornflakes, which sold like gangbusters. Unfortunately, it turned everyone into zombies, and the zombies have a master plan to enslave all the non-zombies and force them to play golf for their amusement. And you defeat said zombies by playing golf. I mean, beat them at their own game, what can I say? It's simple, but it doesn't need to be complicated, and it follows my demon wife that a premise doesn't need to be a whole lot of fanfare if it's just kind of a get in and go kind of game. There's not a whole lot of quote-unquote golf to the golf side of the game. You have your par, you have your course, you have different terrain to worry about, and that's really about it. You only have the driver and the putter, and the arc of your shots is determined by the kind of terrain you're shooting from. I'm not familiar with much golf, but if you're on what I believe is called the fairway, you get your full range and power. In the rough, it halves it, and being in a sand trap reduces your range even further. Once you get onto the green, you just putt. But there is trouble afoot. All along the fairway, and even in hazards and off the course, are dirt mounds signifying where zombies will spawn. From here, you have to kill zombies with your golf balls. Each shot you take at a zombie adds to your stroke count, however the zombies go down in one hit, and headshots subtract the shot you just took from the stroke count. You can purchase a stock of special balls to use during these encounters that will help the player. Freeze balls freeze the zombies in an area, but they add to your stroke count. Explosive balls will destroy zombies outright and the ones closest to them, and getting more than one will subtract that shot from your stroke count. The third ball type is the sniper ball. They have a higher arc and take longer to charge the shot, and that's literally about all they do. The player will only have access to these balls once a zombie encounter starts, so they won't have to worry about them when making their way through the course. If you enjoy golf games but can't really wrap your head around the complexities of different clubs, this game only asks that you manage wind direction and speed and what kind of terrain you're shooting from. Easy peasy, just get in and go. And then it immediately turns into an absolute trudge to play through. It's the post-apocalypse. Everything's all exploded and ruined and the zombies are forcing you to play golf. For some reason you use bottle caps as currency. Yes, they do reference that it's in fact the Fallout reference stating, and I quote, a game from 1997. And it serves no purpose, has no significance, and unless they told you it was bottle caps, you wouldn't be able to distinguish it from the nebulous mobile game style coins. Keep that nebulous mobile game card in the back of your head for a minute. Coins allow the player to purchase upgrades, like a drone for getting a good look ahead, activating bounce pads, and purchasing access to special ball types and some cosmetics. You earn caps by completing holes, getting a bonus or penalty depending on whether you're under par or over it, and killing some zombies. You can also find chests on courses that when struck will award the player with caps, and will subtract the shot that hit them from your stroke count, but it won't count towards the player's progress either. The player can also gain caps on the drive over to the course by ramming zombies in chests with the golf cart. But it wouldn't be much of a challenge if you could just get a few caps and leave. Should the player get eaten by zombies, they will drop all the caps they have pocketed on that attempt. You can purchase access to safes, but, well, the safes are a band-aid on a problem that we'll get to. Where the problem with earning caps and the inevitable grinding comes in shows up after you complete your first hole. You have to buy access to each hole. They start below 1,000 caps but quickly ramp up to 1,500. I found myself twice in a situation having to replay courses for no reason other than I needed to earn money just to continue playing the game. Let's go ahead and pull that nebulous mobile game card out of our craniums and set it on the table. You grind for caps for upgrades. You grind caps for purchasing access to continue the game. You have spots you can gain extra caps, but you lose all caps you've earned if you die on the course. And then they turn it up a notch, getting to the point that zombie encounters will spawn 7 at a time. Once 3 are down, it will spawn 4 more, and it will spawn one directly behind you that if you didn't notice, you just instantly die. And one failure during a zombie phase is instant failure. No health, no lives, just start over. And powering shots takes time, and the game requires precision. Meaning a directly punishing game becomes far more punishing as the game goes on, by sheer virtue of it having not changed at all. It gets so bad that I didn't even finish the last level. The final course of the game is a par 13 that starts off taking semi-blind shots with 15-mile-per-hour wind over water onto small islands, and if your shot is an inch too far, the ball will roll 20 feet off the edge. And that's before the zombie encounters start dumping massive hordes onto you, and that level just becomes an issue of spending 10 minutes getting nowhere close to halfway through the course just to instantly fail on one of the bad spawns and having to start it all over again. And honestly, it wouldn't be so bad if it was just the last level, but it spends a lot of time ramping up to that point across the game, and it's just annoying. The game's controls are smooth and mostly solid that it's not difficult to play, you just keep getting thrown into situations that haven't been properly tested to make sure they aren't actively screwing the player over. If you're positioned in such a way that a zombie spawns behind a rock or a wall, but you're too close to the wall, the zombie will come around the corner, and when you can actually take a shot at it, it's already too close, and through no fault of your own, you're just kind of killed instantly. There was very little visible effort made into making sure that not only were the more difficult sections actually fun to play, but weren't actively ruining the player's attempt for no reason other than to pad out the runtime, which is going to reinforce some ideas in a bit. Next up come the bugs. I encountered 2 major bugs, and the first comes in switching ball types. Hold the radial menu button, highlight selection, release button. Easiest thing in the world to program. But it becomes a problem when half the time it just doesn't seem to work. Switching balls becomes a gamble, and when you want to switch to a ball or off of it, it just won't happen, screwing up what you were planning for. Then comes the lovely bug where the game will just stop accepting any inputs of any kind. It hasn't crashed, it just has decided that it no longer wants to listen to you. So while it's solid and easy to jump into, the developers take no measures to ensure it's not ruining itself by the very nature of its design. But it can always get worse. And that's a question of presentation. Sometimes how a game is presented is as easy as graphics and HUD, but for some kinds of games, presentation has to take into account how the player interacts with it and progresses. An FPS is generally pretty easy to get, but a golf game trying to tell a little story has hurdles. Sleepwalking Potatoes decided to tackle this hurdle by turning it into a checklist. You have one course and must earn caps to buy extra courses. Why? Because you have to find mailboxes on each course to progress the story. That's it! Buy access to new courses so you can find the mailboxes, and each time you get a mailbox and complete the course, the man running the shop tells you how many you have left before the story moves on. And it's not voice acted, it's just reading. So you're just reading and constantly being told how many check marks you need to gain before the story moves on, but once the story moves on, you're just being told you need more check marks. And then you get in carefully calculating every shot, and near the end lose 10 minutes of your game because of one bad shot. So, this kind of explains a lot when it comes to My Demon Wife. Maybe the publisher of that could have done some damage, but this game was published by Hyperstrange and it shows many of the same problems. TDMA just spawns enemies mindset in a game which doesn't mechanically make that satisfying or very much fun, no clear idea on how they want to present the game, and at the end result just being a tedious microtransaction hell style mobile game that's just missing the microtransactions. And the worst part is, I was really enjoying most of it. Yes, it's checklisty in the way progressing levels is presented, but that can be overlooked even if it's not given a second look via a patch. But that turns into a problem that can't be ignored when I'm spending more time trying to complete the final level than I did the entire rest of the game, because again, semi-blind shots, insta-death from things the game gave me no indication were coming. If you have 7 zombies on screen and you can't see behind you, the game shouldn't be spawning new ones behind the player without clear indication of the danger. There is no reason the game should have come out just this unfun and hateful towards the players unless they either didn't test it or didn't care if it was actually any good. The second verse, same as the first, again it only has like 3 music tracks that are 30 seconds long and the aesthetic and graphics tickle my fancy, but they do absolutely nothing to help the game. It's a checklist from the start that becomes a slog by the halfway point and becomes absolutely hateful to the player by the end. If you want people to like your games, you have to put in the effort to make sure they're likable. Just mashing a few solid mechanics together can work for some time, but you have to do the extra work to make sure they're not causing clashes when the difficulty ramps up, and just hoping making it 2 hours longer than it needs to be will cover up the mistakes. The presentation isn't just how a game looks, it also accounts for making sure you have respect for the customer's time and money. You'd like a nice steak dinner, but the best steakhouse isn't going to survive when the waitress drops the plate on your table unshowered and wearing a trash bag. And it's a shame, because I'm sure Sleepwalking Potatoes actually cares about their game, but they didn't really show it. And if you can't show that you cared, I can't really be led to believe that you did. And if you can't lead me to believe you cared, why should I? Why should I have given you money? Why should I pay attention to the next thing you're working on? If you can't show that you cared, why should I treat your games as anything other than a waste of money?
So we're all clear on the rules then. No Jews and no blacks.
Aye.